My name is Dr. Arthur Hartman. I am 63 years old. I spent 35 years practicing medicine, sitting in small exam rooms trying to help people live longer, healthier lives. And I spent those same 35 years not knowing something that changed everything when I finally found out. Let me tell you what happened. I was doing something in my own kitchen every single week. You probably do it too. I did it because I was trying to be practical. I was trying to save money. I was trying not to waste food. I thought I was being a responsible father and a good husband, but I was quietly and systematically creating the conditions for one of the deadliest cancers in the human body, and I had no idea. Does that sound extreme to you? I felt exactly the same way when I first read the clinical data. But unfortunately, it is entirely real. It is a habit that hundreds of millions of people repeat every single week without a second thought. I am talking about reheating leftovers. The truth about what happens inside 5 very specific foods the second time heat touches them is a medical reality. Most people will go their entire lives without ever being told about this. I know I almost did. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly which 5 foods are the most dangerous to reheat. I am going to tell you what they are chemically turning into inside your body when you press the button on your microwave or turn on your stove. And most importantly, I am going to explain why that transformation connects directly to one of the cancers with the lowest survival rates in all of modern medicine: pancreatic cancer. I am going to tell you something today that I believe every single person who cooks at home deserves to know. I share this because I have sat across from too many patients who received a devastating diagnosis. I watched them look at me with tears in their eyes. I heard them ask me, "Why did nobody warn me about this sooner?" I felt ashamed. I felt empty. I didn't know what to say to them. But I am done staying quiet. Now here is what you need to understand before we begin. Let me explain how the pancreas works. Your pancreas never warns you. It does not hurt when it is being damaged. It does not swell up. It does not send you a clear signal while the damage is quietly building up inside it, across months and years of the wrong daily habits. I have seen this happen over and over in my clinic. By the time my patients felt something wrong enough to come see me, it was too late. The cancer had already spread beyond the point where anything meaningful could be done. The 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is under 12%. I want you to hear that number. 12%. I had to tell a father of 3 that number just a few years ago. We were quiet. My heart was racing. That number is why every single thing I am about to show you matters so much. Because I know for a fact that at least 3 of these 5 foods are sitting in your refrigerator right now. They were sitting in mine. They are just waiting to be reheated tonight. Let's start with the first food. I guarantee this one is going to shock you the most. It shocked me. It is something the entire health and wellness world has been pushing you to eat more of for the past 20 years. I used to recommend this to my own patients. Think about those crispy golden fries left over from last night. The ones you covered and told yourself you would finish tomorrow. Or that fried chicken you wrapped carefully in foil because it felt like a terrible waste to throw it away. I used to do this with leftover spring rolls. I would leave them sitting in the corner of my fridge. What do you do the next day? You see, you probably toss it in the microwave. Or even worse, you do what I used to do. You heat a little fresh oil in the pan to crisp it up again. It is exactly at that moment that you activate a chemical process inside that food. Your pancreas has almost no defense against this process. And here's the part that almost nobody tells you. Cooking oils, specifically the ones most people have on their kitchen shelf right now, are highly unstable under heat. I am talking about sunflower oil, corn oil, and soybean oil. When you heat them a second time, they undergo deep oxidative breakdown. I saw the lab reports. That process generates a class of toxic compounds called aldehydes. The 2 most dangerous ones have long chemical names: 4-hydroxynonenal and malondialdehyde. But honestly, you do not need to remember the names. You just need to understand what they do to your body. Free radicals released from reheated oil are like hundreds of sparks flying off an out-of-control fire. I want you to picture that. Each spark is small. They fly randomly in every direction. They land on your healthy cells. They destroy them from the inside. They even destroy the DNA that tells each cell how to grow, when to stop growing, and when to die the way it is supposed to. When that code is corrupted enough times, the cell stops following instructions. It starts multiplying when it should not. I know from decades of practice that this is exactly how cancer begins. And here is what I found terrifying. Your pancreas is one of the most vulnerable organs to this specific type of attack. When I ate food loaded with these aldehyde compounds, my body triggered a full inflammatory response. It was trying to contain the damage. But if you are eating reheated fried food multiple times a week, your body never gets a break. I want you to stop right now and honestly think about this. How many times did you reheat something fried just this week? Go to the comments and type that number below. I need you to admit it to yourself. Because here is what that habit is doing to your body every single time. Your body never gets to turn that inflammatory response off. I explain it to my patients like this. A permanently inflamed pancreas is a pancreas trying to do delicate precision work inside a burning building. Every enzyme it tries to produce, every signal it tries to send, every cell it tries to protect, all of it is happening in a chemical war zone. Your pancreas was never designed to survive in a war zone. Eventually, it cannot keep up. And when it stops keeping up, I promise you, you do not get a warning. You just get a diagnosis. You might be feeling signs of this right now as you watch this. I know I ignored my own signs for a long time. I would feel a dull heaviness in my upper abdomen after meals. I kept dismissing it as overeating. I would get an unexplained fatigue that set in specifically after I ate. I blamed it on a long day at the clinic. I felt a vague discomfort just below my ribs that came and went. I called it poor digestion. I told my patients the same thing, but it might not be poor digestion. So how do you protect yourself? I had to change my own life, and I will tell you the first rule. It is absolutely non-negotiable. Never reheat fried food in oil. Not fresh oil. Not the same oil. Never. I use a dry oven at 180 degrees now, or I use an air fryer. Dry heat brings back the texture without a single drop of new chemical damage. Second rule. Frying oil is single use only. Fry today, throw it away today. Because I looked at the actual choice we are making. A bottle of oil versus not getting pancreatic cancer. That is the actual choice you are making every single week. You just didn't know you were making it. Now get ready, because the second food on this list is going to surprise you far more than the first one did. I know this because it is something I myself recommended to my patients for years. It appears on every superfoods list ever written. Every nutrition expert on the planet calls it one of the healthiest foods you can eat. But when you reheat it, it turns into something it absolutely should not. Picture a Sunday evening. I used to do this all the time. I would cook a beautiful pan of sautéed spinach with garlic and olive oil. Deep green, wilted perfectly. I felt genuinely good about myself. I thought I was being healthy. I was eating my greens. I was doing exactly what a doctor is supposed to do. I put the leftovers in a container in the fridge. Monday lunch, I would take it out and microwave it for 90 seconds in the break room. It smelled exactly the same. It looked exactly the same. It tasted exactly the same. But while I was eating it, that second round of heat had just triggered a chemical reaction inside that spinach. The World Health Organization has officially linked this reaction to cancer risk. Here is what I learned was happening inside that plastic container. All leafy greens contain naturally occurring compounds called nitrates. This includes spinach, kale, chard, and arugula. Fresh, they are completely harmless. Zero problem. I never worried about fresh greens. But when you cook these vegetables and let them sit in the fridge, bacteria naturally present in the food begin converting those harmless nitrates into something called nitrites. And when I applied heat a second time in that break room microwave, those nitrites reacted with amino acids in the food. They formed compounds called nitrosamines. I want you to burn that word into your head. Nitrosamines. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies nitrosamines as probable human carcinogens. I read the studies myself. They are genotoxic. That means they go directly inside the nucleus of your cells. They damage your DNA. They don't attack from the outside. They attack from within the genetic machinery itself. Think of your DNA as the master blueprint your body uses to build and repair everything. Nitrosamines are like someone breaking into the blueprint room every few days. They quietly change one measurement. They erase one instruction. Your repair systems catch most of it, but I know they do not catch all of it. Over months and years of repeated exposure, the accumulated corruptions in that blueprint start producing cells that do not behave the way they should. And here's what terrified me about the pancreas specifically. Once nitrosamines enter your bloodstream after that reheated spinach, they travel to every organ your blood reaches. The pancreas is called into the detoxification effort repeatedly, week after week. I was forcing my pancreas to bathe in genotoxic compounds. I was simultaneously forcing it into chronic biochemical stress. How many times this week did you cook leafy greens and reheat them the next day? Write the real number in the comments. Most people do this completely innocently. I did it innocently. But the innocence of it is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Here is the fix I use now. Eat your cooked greens cold. I put cold cooked spinach in a grain bowl. I toss it in a salad. I fold it into a wrap. Every nutrient is still there. But there is zero nitrosamine formation because there is no second heat. If you absolutely need them warm, cook only what you are eating right now. Not a batch for the week, just this meal. And if you absolutely must, reheat once only. Each additional heating cycle multiplies the nitrosamine formation. I am not using a metaphor here. That is basic chemistry. Now let's move to the third food. I honestly think this one is going to be the most shocking thing we cover today. It is the most innocent-looking food in existence. It has no strong flavor. It has no strong smell. The danger inside it cannot be detected by any of your senses. Think about the pot of rice you made a few days ago. I used to make a large batch of rice on Sundays. It was just easier that way. My wife and I would reheat portions of it every day for dinner. This is completely normal. Every household on the planet does this. But I didn't know what was hidden inside that rice. From the exact moment it stopped cooking and started cooling on my stove, a biological process was quietly unfolding. Most people have never once been warned about this. I need to introduce you to a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. I studied this in medical school, but I didn't connect it to my own kitchen. This organism is present in raw rice from any supermarket anywhere in the world. Cooking kills the active bacteria, but it does not kill the spores. A spore is a hardened biological survival structure. Certain bacteria produce them specifically to survive conditions that would normally kill them. Boiling water cannot destroy them. Normal cooking temperatures cannot touch them. They sit dormant in your perfectly cooked rice. They are completely invisible. I could never smell them or taste them. They just wait. They wait for the temperature to drop into their ideal multiplication range. That is exactly the temperature of your kitchen counter as that rice cools down after cooking. The moment the temperature drops, I learned that those spores wake up. They multiply. They produce toxins. And here is the detail that matters most. One of those toxins is heat stable. When I microwaved that rice the next day, I killed the live bacteria, but the toxin they already produced while they were multiplying on my counter, my microwave did not touch it. It survives the reheating completely intact. It enters your body in full working order. I try to explain it like this. Imagine a factory producing toxic chemicals in your basement without you knowing. You find out and shut it down. You turn off every machine, but the barrels they already produced before you shut it down are still sitting there in the warehouse. Your microwave shuts down the factory, but the barrels are already in your bowl, and you are about to eat them. Now, here is the pancreas connection. I didn't get dramatic full-blown food poisoning every time I ate reheated rice, but repeated low-level exposure to these toxins creates chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your gut. And science has clearly mapped what we researchers call the gut-pancreas axis. I studied this closely. Your gut and your pancreas share blood supply. They share lymphatic drainage. They share inflammatory signaling pathways. A chronically inflamed gut sends those inflammatory signals directly to your pancreas. Every time, without exception. How many days has the rice in your refrigerator been sitting there right now? 1 day? 3 days? A week? Comment the real number. I need you to see it, because that number tells you exactly how much risk you have been quietly accepting. The fix is simple. I do this every time now. Cool cooked rice within 1 hour of cooking. I spread it wide and shallow on a baking sheet. I do not pile it deep in a bowl. More surface area means faster cooling. Faster cooling means less time for those spores to activate. I eat it within 24 hours. I reheat it fully until it is steaming hot throughout. Then I eat it completely. I do not put it back in the fridge after reheating once. These are not complicated rules. They are just rules I was never told. Now, the fourth food. Nearly every family I know eats this multiple times a week. The danger here comes from a specific feature of one very common kitchen appliance. It creates invisible pockets inside the food that look perfectly safe from the outside. You made roasted chicken thighs last night. Golden, perfectly cooked all the way through. You saved them in a container in the fridge. Today at lunch you put 2 pieces on a plate. You microwave them for 2 minutes. You touch the outside. It feels hot, so you eat it. This was a completely normal Tuesday in my home for 20 years. And the way that reheating happened, microwave, 2 minutes, touch check on the outside, is exactly where the danger lives. Here is something I did not know until I dug into the research. A microwave does not heat food the way an oven does. It excites water molecules inside the food to generate heat. But different parts of the same piece of chicken have different water content. They have different density. They have different fat distribution. Some parts reach temperatures that kill bacteria. Other parts, just centimeters away, stay at exactly the temperature where bacteria not only survive, but actively multiply. We call these cold spots. I could not see them. I could not feel them from the outside. The outside of my chicken was scorching hot, while the center was sitting at the precise temperature that dangerous bacteria prefer. 2 bacteria make this specifically terrifying with chicken: Salmonella and Campylobacter. I have treated both in my clinic. They are present in raw poultry at very high rates. Proper initial cooking eliminates them, but recontamination after cooking is entirely possible. It happens on your hands, on your counter, on your utensils. And those cold spots in your microwave reheated chicken are warm, moist, protein-rich environments. They are not death zones for bacteria. They are incubators. A salmonella infection is not a mild afternoon of discomfort. I have sat beside beds watching patients suffer through it. It is a systemic biological event. High fever, violent cramping, sustained vomiting and diarrhea. Your entire immune system is mobilized for war. And while that war is happening in your gut, your pancreas is not watching from the sidelines. It is pulled into the inflammatory response every single time. And here is what concerns me most as a doctor. Full, dramatic poisoning is not the only way this damages you. Repeated low doses are too small to knock you completely down, but they are enough to keep your gut in a state of low-grade chronic inflammation. Those are the exposures that accumulate quietly over years into conditions your pancreas simply cannot escape. Be completely honest right now. When you reheat chicken, do you verify it is steaming hot all the way through the thickest part? Or do you touch the outside and assume the inside matches? I always assumed. That gap between assumption and reality is exactly where salmonella lives. Here is my fix. I use the oven now, 175 degrees Celsius. I cover it tightly with foil for 15 to 20 minutes. The moist, trapped heat reaches every part uniformly. I have zero cold spots anywhere. If you must use a microwave, cut the chicken into small, uniform pieces first. Use medium power, not maximum power. Stop halfway through and rearrange everything. Then let it rest covered for 2 full minutes after heating. Or do what I do most days, eat it cold. Cold chicken shredded into a salad eliminates every single risk I just discussed. Zero reheating, zero cold spots, zero inflammatory cascade reaching your pancreas. Now we have reached the 5th and final food. This one is unique. It carries not one but 2 completely separate chemical dangers happening at the exact same time. It is 2 different attacks on your pancreas from a single bowl of leftovers. Think about the roasted potatoes from last Sunday. Perfect, golden, crispy outside, fluffy inside. I used to make a whole tray. Monday evening, I would take them out. I would toss them in a pan with a little oil to crisp them back up. I would eat them, feeling very resourceful. And right now, if you do that, inside those potatoes, 2 completely independent chemical processes are attacking your pancreas from 2 different angles simultaneously. The first attack comes from a compound called acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a probable human carcinogen. It forms when starchy foods are exposed to temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius. That golden color you love on a perfectly roasted potato, that crispiness, that is the Maillard reaction. Acrylamide forms as part of that exact same process. Here is what makes reheated potatoes specifically more dangerous than freshly cooked ones. When a potato is cooked once and then refrigerated, its surface dries out. Sugars and amino acids concentrate at that dry surface. When I applied high heat a second time in my frying pan, the chemical conditions for acrylamide formation were more favorable than they were during the first cooking. I was getting a meaningfully higher carcinogen load from my reheated potatoes than from the original meal. That is attack number 1. Direct carcinogenic damage to pancreatic cells. Now let me explain attack number 2. This one exhausts your pancreas in a way that compounds silently over years. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled completely in the refrigerator, something remarkable happens. Part of the regular starch inside converts into resistant starch. Resistant starch is genuinely protective. It moderates your blood sugar. It slows glucose absorption. It feeds beneficial gut bacteria. A cold, cooked potato is metabolically a completely different food than a hot one. The moment I reheated that potato at high heat, that resistant starch converted back into regular, rapidly digested starch. The beneficial transformation that happened during cooling was destroyed in 90 seconds in my microwave. What was gentle on my blood sugar was now a massive spike. And who responds to that spike? Your pancreas. Specifically the beta cells that produce insulin. They are forced into a sudden, large, urgent release. Doing this once is completely normal. But I did it 3 times a week, every week, for years. Those beta cells were being driven into repeated emergency production events. They exhaust. They become less responsive. They degrade. Progressive beta cell exhaustion is a documented pathway toward the chronic conditions that precede pancreatic cancer. That is, 2 attacks at the same time, every single time you reheat those potatoes. And if you refry them in oil like I did, you are stacking the dangers of food one on top of food 5. Maximum acrylamide, maximum oil oxidation. Every single hazard from this entire video concentrated into one dish. How many times this week did you reheat potatoes? Comment the honest number right now. The fix is easy. I eat my cooked potatoes cold whenever I possibly can. I make a cold potato salad with good olive oil, a little vinegar, and fresh herbs. It sounds strange until you try it. You keep all the resistant starch. You eliminate additional acrylamide, and you give your pancreatic beta cells a meal they do not have to fight against. If you really need them warm, steam them, or use the lowest heat that just takes the chill off. Warm, not hot, and never ever refry an already cooked potato. A fresh potato fried once is a completely different chemical event than a cooked potato fried twice. We have now gone through all 5 foods. And before you close this video, I need to tell you something that matters more than all the information we just covered. If you have been doing these things for years like I did, it is not too late. I want you to hear me clearly. The human body has a capacity for recovery that genuinely humbles me after all my years in medicine. Chronic inflammation can come down. Damaged cells get replaced constantly by new ones. The conditions we discussed are not a sentence, they are a starting point. And every better choice you make from this moment forward moves you in the right direction. What I am asking you to carry out of here today is not fear. I felt fear when I first realized what I was doing to my family. But fear paralyzes. What I am asking you to carry is the specific practical knowledge that lets you make one different choice tonight. When you open that refrigerator, remember my rules. Fried food, reheated dry in an oven or air fryer, never in oil. Leafy greens, eat them cold or cook only what you need for right now. Rice, cool it fast. Refrigerate within the hour. Eat it within 24 hours. Chicken. Use the oven, not the microwave, or eat it cold. Potatoes. Eat them cold whenever you can, or use gentle low heat. Small habits practiced consistently over months and years will change your life. Your pancreas has been working for you in complete silence every single day of your life, never once asking for anything in return. Start giving it something back today. My name is Dr. Arthur Hartman. I am speaking to you because I care about what happens to you. If this gave you something real today, I need you to do one thing for me. Think of one person you love right now. Your mother, your partner, your closest friend. Someone who reheats rice every day and has never heard any of this. Send them this video right now. Not tomorrow, right now. That might be the most important thing you do today. Please leave a like and subscribe to Vital After 60 so we can keep having these honest conversations. Take care of yourselves. I will see you in the next one.